The Marketing Results Club presents Steve Dawson, sharing his point of view on the trends transforming B2B marketing. Steve Dawson is co-founder and CEO of Ratio Creative, a UK marketing agency connecting people with brands for SaaS and healthcare technology firms. In this interview, he explains how to make your B2B marketing more effective. Here's what he had to say.
There was a great piece of research done in 2013 by Les Binnett and Peter Field on behalf of the IPA, the Institute of Practitioners of Advertising, and their data bank, which consisted of, I think, more than 700 case studies of award-winning effectiveness campaigns. And they looked into why those campaigns were effective. So they had to deliver a meaningful business result. And they started finding some patterns and commonality within these particular campaigns. And what they actually produced was a report called The Long and Short of It. And I really recommend any of your listeners actually get hold of this report because it's fantastic. It's so good, actually, that they've started to look at the effects of long-term activity versus short-term performance activity. The difference being long-term being more about brand building and short-term being more about performance marketing. And sort of the B2B world has woken up to this really only this year. In March, I went to an event at LinkedIn in Europe in their London office where they asked Peter Field and Les Binnett to actually look at the findings from their original piece of research and see whether some of those findings could be applied or mirrored in the world of B2B, and they did find many commonalities. So it's a really excellent piece of research. The reason why I think we're going to see a different approach to B2B certainly next year is I think there's going to be far more focus on building the brand and effectiveness. So MarTech tools over recent years have been amazing at enabling marketing to be incredibly efficient. But what it's led us to do in that efficiency process is think more about the delivery channel, the measurement side of it, the analytics, and then the message. So it's efficiency over effectiveness. It's the wrong way round. Now, for us, it's about the message. What is it we want to say? How then, from when we're saying it, what KPIs? What are the business KPIs? What's the marketing KPIs? How are we going to measure it? And then working almost hand in hand, we start looking at the best channels to use to actually reach the audience that we need to reach at the right time in the most efficient and effective way. So I think we're going to see the dial turning up on effectiveness. I'm not saying that everything should be more focused on effectiveness at the expense of efficiency. I'm just saying give them equal weighting. The MarTech tools that we have and the focus on digital communications has enabled, especially in the B2B world, for a drive on efficiency, and less attention is actually being on what the message is actually being delivered and the appropriate channel to deliver that message to reach that audience. And what's happened in recent times is MarTech tools have been so good at the efficiency side of it that the focus has been in the mid to low activity on the funnel, so mid to low funnel activity. And what that's done is made short-termism become the thing of focus at the expense of upstream brand building. So for most marketers that we work with, yes, there's a commercial reality. Absolutely there is. You know, it's about what income is going to be delivered next quarter and the quarter beyond. So actually doing tactical work short term, getting into that bottom end of the funnel from mid-level to bottom level is quite important. But actually what you're doing is you're communicating with people that have already made a decision to consider your brand or made a decision to actually buy that product. And all that communication piece needs to do is to move them from their intention to buy to buying. And that's a simple job. But what's been ignored is actually the more upstream part of the funnel, where it's all about building a brand and building the brand so you can have sustainable growth beyond 2 quarters. And I'm talking about the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, where it's sustainable growth. And that actually is the sweet spot. If you invest in your brand, you do brand building, then that actually is going to pay dividends back over a period of time. The minute you stop doing performance marketing, that low funnel communications, the minute you stop doing that, your leads dry up. So you're forever having to pump money in. And that's what a lot of marketers have been doing. They've been pumping money constantly into this low-level activity, tactical activity, driven by digital, and ignoring everything about building a brand. And we know brand building is definitely worthwhile. I mean, if you look at the balance sheets of any company, I think I read a stat some time ago, 1970, I think it was, 80% of the company's valuation was on tangible assets. Since then, and modern day valuation of company, over 80% of it is on intangible assets, which is your brand. Ignoring brand building that really doesn't make sense on any commercial level whatsoever. But what we're not saying is, do what's happening at the moment, which is everything is focused on short-termism and tactical and digital and ignoring brand building. We're saying actually you do both. You do both hand in hand. And you can actually, as we demonstrated, you can take a tactical one-off campaign and build that into something completely different, go right upstream and build the brand from that one piece, that one car key that was sent out, that one campaign. That became a big brand campaign. Lasting, more than a week, a month. It lasted for up to 4 years. And likewise, when you're going up, we say to clients, we need to go upstream. We're down in the weeds here. You're fighting with everybody else, and it becomes a commodity market, as we proved one of our clients before, that it's a race to the bottom. A friend of mine is a management consultant, and the first thing she does when she goes into companies when they are failing to turn them around, they look at the budgets, what they're spending. I mean, I'm not saying online display and search is not a bad thing. It's a good thing, but it's part of the parcel. So I think next year we're going to see far more focus and attention on building brand long term, and we're going to see far more focus and attention on effectiveness and making sure that, yes, we're being efficient, but are we being effective? And I think you'll see many, many companies looking at that. I think we're going to see far more investment in research. So I think too many companies, again, through habit, are just repeating what they've always done. So I think we're going to need to find out more about the market that companies are operating in. So I think research is going to be a big thing. Consumer behavior going to be really important. We know in the B2B world, again, this year there seems to be a bit of a focus on, actually, we're selling to people. We are people, and we have emotional as well as rational needs. And I think the emotional story is now picking up and getting a bit of traction with B2B. But again, it's about being appropriate. Normally when you're lower in the funnel and you're going to make a decision, then you need content that has more information that helps you make that informed decision. You don't need emotion necessarily to convey that. But I think upstream, when there's brand building where you don't have a lot to say, or what you want to say very succinctly, then you can pull those emotional levers a little bit more. So I think science is going to be really important to understand more about decision making and consumer behavior. And I guess the other big thing, I think we're going to see real big swing back to integrated communications. From my point of view, it's never gone away. It's always been there. But I think, again, companies are now widening up to the fact that maybe we shouldn't just use only display or just email. We need to use email and display, or we need to use email, search and display, or we need to use direct marketing. We need to use more out-of-home communications, more posters, more outdoor, to go with something else. We know, there's plenty of research that says if you use more than 2 channels for your campaign, 2 disciplines, 2 channels, then you're going to be twice as effective. Using just email, relying only on email is not very effective. You have to use email and something else. You have to look at it a campaign by campaign level. And I think, again, you only go into the large network agencies that have been under a sort of bit of attack recently, really, has been a bit sort of a bit slow, not very nimble, agile, and maybe a bit dinosaurish. One thing you get from really big agencies is real clarity on strategic thinking. And, certainly in comms planning and other areas like that. And our point of view is always with the client when they need to do a campaign, we ask the right questions. And we do look at how they're segmented the market. We do look at all research. We do desktop research, or we go off and actually commission new research. We do qualitative and quantitative research on consumers. Find out really what it is that they need, what the gaps are. Because I think the danger for a lot of organizations and in the world of B2B is assumption. It's the biggest enemy of all. Quite often we work with clients and there's a lot of assumptions about audience, about market, about what campaign activity may or may not work. I don't know. No one knows. So that's where actually getting some objectivity and external help really does pay dividends in the long run.
Thanks for listening to this interview for the B2B Marketing Trends podcast. If you have a question or comment for this guest, you can leave them a voicemail and they may respond in a follow-up podcast. By the way, I'm Derek Little, Editor-in-Chief for the Marketing Results Club and Chief Copywriter at trailblazerwriting.com, providing results-driven copy. If you'd like to be featured in a podcast, or be profiled as an influencer, or compete for the B2B Marketing Results Award, go to marketingresults.club for details.